Hello everyone. This is the first video of my nginx series. In this video, I am going to explain you what is nginx, how you can set up your nginx on AWS EC2 instance, how to host your own custom static website on it, and few more things related to nginx. So let's get started. So as you can see here, these are the contents of this video, like what is nginx, creating AWS EC2 instance on it, installing nginx, nginx config overview, creating nginx config from start, hosting custom static website on it, and changing the default port. So first things first, what is nginx? Nginx is, in simple terms, nginx is basically a open source high performance web server. What is web server? Web server is basically a combination of computer hardware and software which basically serves your files, which basically saves your files, HTML, CSS, and then send it to the audience of your websites all over the internet. So apart from web server, Nginx also work as a reverse proxy, load balancer, and caching tools to manage and scale web traffic efficiently. In the future upcoming video, I'm going to explain all of these reverse proxy, load balancer, and caching tools in Nginx. So how Nginx works? So as you can see here, let's say you are the client, you send a request to a application server, but Nginx acts as a middleman between them, which basically accept it or reject your request and send back to an application server, and then server send response to nginx, and then nginx send back response to the client. So what the first thing we are going to do right now, creating an AWS EC2 instance and then installing nginx on it. So as you can see here, this is my AWS root user account. So in this account, I'm going to create my EC2 instance on it. So let's say launch EC2 instance. I put a name on it. So let's say nginx. I put a nginx YT. And I choose Amazon Linux as my operating system for this EC2 instance. And I'm going to creating a pair. I'm going to put a name on it. Creating a web pair. Save it. And you must have to check these two boxes because I'm going to host our own static website on it. So it's extremely important to allow HTTP traffic and HTTPS all over the internet. So launch instance. Yeah. And here you see our instance have been launched. So I'm going to open it. Click on connect. So here you go. Our instance has been launched. So what I'm going to do right now is installing nginx on it. So to install nginx on AWS Linux, so I'm going to use a command name as sudo yum install nginx. Right. So, but if your software is Ubuntu, you have to use the command name as sudo apt install nginx. But here my software is Amazon Linux, so I'm going to use this command. So here you see the nginx has been installed. So I'm going to start it by using command sudo system ctl start nginx. So sudo system ctl start nginx. And I'm going to use another command which means enable nginx, which basically sudo system ctl enable nginx, which basically automatically start your nginx whenever you boot this instance. So I'm going to check this nginx is running or not. So by using this command sudo systemctl status nginx, you can see here in the green that active running. So what we have to do right now is we have to nginx config overview. So all of the config files are stored on this part in nginx sudo. So I'm going to go inside that folder where all of my nginx config files are stored. So I'm going to use command name as cd change directory cd etc and nginx. So I'm going to use ls. Here you can see these are all the config files of nginx, in which nginx.config is basically your main config file, your root file. And you can also save your own custom custom config file on conf.d. So this is the main root file, and then is config. So I'm going to show you what is inside it. So let's say sudo nano nginx.config. Here you see these are the things which are stored, like you can see user linux, you can see http your website setting, and below this you can see your server, means basically your website, your port number means listen, your root means your website files, your file system has been stored in this root, in this file part. So I'm going to copy this, and here you go, all of the things of this. So I'm going to control plus x, and I'm going to go inside my file part of where the website files are stored. I'm going to use cd and user.html file. Here you see all of your website files are stored here, like index.html icons, everything. So I'm going to click on copy that IP address and copy here. Here you can see welcome to nginx has been shown to you. So I'm going to edit something inside this HTML. So I'm going to do inside this index.html. So I'm going to use sudo nano index.html, and here you see the same structure has been shown to you, where your title, this is basically your browser tab. So I'm going to also change this in the next tutorial, and below that there is, I'm going to change welcome to build with yes channel. I'm going to use control x, then this is y tab, and if you refresh this page you can see directly build with yes channel, and if you copy this bookmark you can see directly nginx tutorial of this bookmark. So next topic is basically to hosting our own custom static website on it and creating config nginx config from start. So let's say I make a file, index file, because I have to store my HTML code on it for my own custom static website. So I'm going to go inside a part where my website files has been stored. So I'm going to use sudo share nginx html, and inside this I remove all the files. So let's say I use command sudo rm/rf start, means remove all, and here I going to make a file sudo vim and edit on it. So I use sudo vim index.html, and here I, let's say, paste my this code which I asked to Google to give me a normal basic website title. Here you can see welcome to my website, and I put esc WQ means save and exit, enter. So if you basically paste your website, your IP before, you can see directly my first website on it. No, you cannot see because it may be caching. HTTPS. So we have to do is HTTP. Here you can see the website. mm, my file have been see. So next topic is basically to hosting our own custom static website and creating nginx config from start. So let's say I have to host a custom static website. So I'm going to store my HTML code on a particular files, which is basically stored on the certain folder. I'm going to use cd. This basically come to home directory, and I'm going to use cd user share nginx html. So in this, I'm going to remove this file, and for removing this file, I use sudo rm rf. Also, I have to write the file name, but let's say I use a start. You see all of the files have been removed. Now I'm going to make my own folder in it where I write my own HTML config HTML code. So I'm going to use sudo mkdir. Let's say website.com. I use coms. I have to remove this file again because the line has been wrong. Do sudo rm rf. Now again I make a file website.com, and so we go inside website.com, and here we write our own HTML code for my own static website. So let's say I use sudo vim index.html to make a file and go inside that file. So here let's say I ask Google to give me a good HTML code for my website. And this is give me a code. Let's say I copy this code and I put here, and by clicking on insert I will see, and up here you can see the my website code, and I click on ESC WQ, which basically means save and exit, enter. And let's say I have also to creating a config from start. Let's say I go to my own config files, root config files. So I'm going to first I come to my home directory, and after that I have to go where my root files, root config has been stored. I'm going to use etc nginx. Next I directly go to inside that file sudo vim tc nginx.config. Something has been wrong nginx, so here long has been, I put a wrong letter in it. Not, I can also use nano. Here you can see it's basically the main root system, root file. Here I edit the root user. Not edit, we have to make a complete brand new config. So I'm going to select all. No, we are doing wrong. We are doing wrong. We have to first backup of this server, backup of this file. So let's go inside that file, nginx etc nginx, and not sudo ct etc nginx, and here you see all of your config files, and I have to copy this file first because it's extremely important. For that you copy these files, you root this file. So I'm going to here run a command sudo cp nginx.config, and I let's say I make a copy of these files in nginx config backup. Here you see a backup file has been made in nginx config backup. Now what I do, I remove my nginx config peacefully. Let's say I remove this file. To remove this file, I use sudo rf nginx config. Here you see my files have been removed. So I'm going to make a brand new files of nginx config sudo vim nginx config, and here I put my code. So basically the structure of the nginx config is this. So I'm going to copy this and I paste here. Let's say these are the events http. First I have to insert to edit files, and then I write here. So I'm going to remove location because it's not needed for now, and here I write servers, means basically listen. I put my port number on it, and then I use this, and after that I write root where my files have been stored. So I'm going to use sudo user share nginx html and then website.com. I use this and I use this. So here we go. All things is correct. So I'm going to click on escape column and then WQ, save and exit. And one thing you must have to remember that if you have edited any config files, you have to run a command name as sudo systemctl reload. This basically refresh your nginx web server. So now what we have to do, you have to copy this public before address, and let's say we check here that it's running or not. Here you can see welcome to my website, and my first article. Here you can see all of these things. So if I write 80 here, it's basically the same because it's basically operating on port number 80. Now what we have to do is we have to change our default port. But one thing also I want to tell you, because let's say we go again to our home directory and we go to user share nginx html website.com. Here you can see the index.html file has been opened. Let's say I want to make a subfolder inside it. So I make a folder inside it, sudo mpi subfolder, and inside the subfolder, let's say I write my index.html code in it. Let's say I copy the same code. So copy the same code. I use sudo index.html. Full stop means basically your website.com is index.html code has been copied to subfolder name folder. I'm going to click enter. Sudo cp not has been made. So I click again command sudo cp. Going to click on again index.html. All things look right. What is wrong? No, we have to go inside the subfolder. Let's say we have to go inside the subfolder. Let's say subfolder. Inside subfolder, here I use the command cp index.html and put basically the that index file is copied to here. Here you can see the index file has been stored. So let's say I use nano command to edit it. You can see. Let's say I edit. Welcome to subfolder section. Subfolder section. I'm going to click on Control X, Y, enter. So now, if you refresh this page, it's all right. Here you can also you click on slash subfolder. Basically, your subfolder section it appears. This is how you can also add subfolder into your main website. Now, what we have to do is to changing our default port. So let's say first we have to add a port from this instance security sections. So let's say I add security here. Let's say I go to security groups, edit inbound rules, basically the traffic coming to your server. I'm going to click on add rule. I'm going to, let's say I put a port number 8080 custom anywhere from internet and I save here. So you can see it is saved. And now what we have to do, we have to edit our own root config files into and change the port number 80 to 8080. So I'm going to go directly inside that my root config files which I made just about. I'm going to use sudo vim etc nginx dot config. Here do you see this is my main config file. So I'm going to edit it. Let's say I add here 8080. All things good. I'm going to click on ESC. I'm going to click WQ to save and exit. And here I use system ctl reload nginx. Now, if you see, you have to put your port number here. Here you see. After putting the port number, you can see directly welcome to my website. My first article here. And also, you can also put here subfolder to access your subfolder. Here you can see your subfolder has section had also been seen to you clearly. So what we have done so far, we have done what is nginx, creating AWS EC2 instance on it, installing nginx config overview, creating nginx config from start, hosting custom static website and changing the default port. That's it for now. Thank you for watching this video.